Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today's Celtic transfer talk video is on the way of outgoing. Usually I like sitting here talking about players we could be signing, but instead it's the other way about. We're going to be talking about a player that looks as though could be leaving the club in what is a kind of monumental week for Celtic. There's so much to talk about. And in fact, this video is going to be titled around one specific player, but two of our biggest and best players look to be on the way out as expected, while we still wait for our manager. It's still a bit of a mess, isn't it? Before we go any further with the video, can I please give a big shout out to Who Knows Wins, who are going to be sponsoring TSF over the course of the Euros this summer. We've got a league set up and I urge every single person watching this video to join in. You can join for a low fee of £5 and try and win yourself some cash while also doing your bit to help TSF hopefully grow and become bigger and better over the next few months. It's simple. Join the league, deposit your money and play against me, the other guys in TSF and other fans to see who can take away one of the top prizes. The more people that join, the more money to be won. So please make sure to join the league, have a bit of fun and predict who can finish where and who can do what and the results in the Euros while having some fun alongside it. Remember, bet responsibly, join only if you're 18 and over, and let's move on to the video. So the prophet has spoken. Fabrizio Romano has reported that ODSONNE EDOUARD is in advanced talks with Leicester City. His former manager Brendan Rodgers, and of course former manager of Celtic, is here. He's ready to take away what is probably our star player, our main man, and make him an even better player down in the English Premier League. A move that we knew was going to happen, not maybe necessarily to Leicester, but we all knew that this summer we would be seeing the departure of ODSONNE EDOUARD. So it doesn't come as much of a surprise, but it's finally happening, it's here, and there's a lot to digest around that. Now, a lot of people might be watching this video, especially if you're a bit older and be wondering who the hell Fabrizio Romano is, but usually when he says something, it goes. He's the biggest journalist in world football, and especially over the past year, everybody's became familiar with his name and how he reports things, so it looks as though this is pretty much it, and there's still a way to go. He's reported that. It's not done and dusted, it's not in concrete yet, there's still details to be ironed out, but the Leicester board remain confident the deal will happen, and Brendan Rodgers will have the man who he signed for Celtic all those years ago down at Leicester City with him, and a move that excites me for ODSONNE EDOUARD, but as a Celtic supporter I sit here and I'm absolutely gutted, and I must admit I'm worrying on how we replace him. So before we get into all of that and we talk about what it means for Celtic and the sort of logistics surrounding it, what is the deal including for us? What does Celtic get? Is it a good deal? £15 million seems to be the rumoured figure. I'm seeing 15 million. It could be a deal that goes up to the likes of £18 million, probably through add-ons and bonuses and such. But in general, we're getting a deal which I believe a lot of Celtic fans will feel shortchanged by. You know, this is a player who multiple times Celtic fans were saying that he was worth 30, including myself, were saying worth 30 to 40 million, and that's how much we should be looking for. His return at Celtic has been phenomenal. He's been our best player over the course of the last 3 to 4 years, and he's someone who's got a lot of potential. He's also been doing it on the international level for his French under-21 side, so it's certainly a player who definitely would justify that sort of value. The problem is Celtic have managed the contracts and managed the situation very poorly, as they've done with many other players, that including the other player who's in a similar situation in terms of quality and leaving the club, Christopher Ajer. We've let this deal expire down to, well, not expire, we've let it get down to the last year before expiry, which really leaves no wiggle room for negotiation when it comes to Celtic's point of view. Now, Edouard, we all know, will want to leave the club. I think that he's probably made that clear. He'll want to go, and a lot of people will be giving it that treatment of, if he wants to go, get rid of him anyway. But you know, you can't blame him for wanting to leave now and trying to capitalise on the kind of interest that's there. And plus, you know, a move to the Premier League to work with Brendan Rodgers again, how many times is that going to come round? So I don't blame him wanting to leave, but the situation is we've let it get down to the last year, so whatever a club kind of comes in with at first, you know, we're not going to have a lot of negotiation around that. It's not like we can hold him hostage here either. I think that he'll want to leave the club, he'll want to go and better himself, and that's completely respectable. So when a bid does come in, you're pretty much having to take what you get first. And to be honest, I'm actually quite surprised that it's as high as £18 million. I thought we were going to have to maybe go down below that. I was thinking maybe £10-11 million we'd get for Odsonne Edouard. So I think we should find ourselves lucky that we're even getting a deal that could rise to such a high figure. The big thing surrounding this transfer now is, yeah, of course, we're making profit. We signed him for 9 million, we're selling him for 15, could rise to 18. You're talking, I know, like a £6-7 million profit margin here. But then there's the clause that PSG have activated in Odsonne Edouard's contract. And that is the sell-on clause. PSG get 50% of our sell-on of Odsonne Edouard. So then the profit starts to become even thinner. And you start to wonder why the board have handled it in such a way. If we couldn't give him a contract last year, fair enough. If he never wanted to sign a new contract, extend that contract, that's fair. But and it's not so much it annoys me that it's happened with Edouard, it's the fact it's happening with like everybody. The way players have been managed and contracts have been managed has been utterly bizarre to me. Not just Edouard, you've got Christopher Ayer, there's contracts that have been going right down to expiry, people in their last year, and this goes throughout the entire squad, from some of our best players to some of our youngest players. Their deals have run so short, and one business deal was okay, fair enough. You've been a blunder of it there, but when you get multiple ones, it really just starts to raise more and more questions towards a board who are already under a lot of scrutiny by the supporters. So it really does baffle me. Now we've got to go and pay PSG a chunk of money that would have been better in our investment, better for us. You wonder how it was so high in the first place. Maybe it was our only way of getting the player, landing the deal. There's just so many questions around everything, and it's particularly annoying when knowing you've got such a big rebuild ahead of you, and we don't have as much money as we would have liked to have invested in our squad. Which also brings me to my next point, and that's that we still don't have a manager. Now, today Sky Sports have reported that Postecoglou has verbally agreed to be the Celtic manager, which is all very well and good. Thank God, we're making a progressive step. It looks as though we are going to have a manager, but in the same articles they're reporting that he might not be here for the pre-season starting. Who's signing up players then from now until then? We don't have a starting striker. Is it going to be Lee Griffiths? Is it going to be Albion Ayeti, guys who barely got minutes last season? You know, Ayer will be out the door too. These are big names. They're leaving the club with so little time to go until the European qualifiers begin and the team return to training post Euros. And Ange might not even be here. Now, of course, that doesn't necessarily mean that he can't go about starting the process of looking at players, signing players, and getting his coaches and his staff as well to help with that process. But it just seems all a bit over the place, and that is really, really worrying. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I think everything's getting better and we're all okay. I look at Celtic and I look at the situation we're in just now with Edouard leaving, with Ayer leaving, with a manager not through the door, with no transfer targets really solidified or pointed out. There was the one guy from Watford who apparently knocked us back to stay at Watford or whatever, but with no real kind of substance to transfer targets or anything. There's nothing there at all, and I can just see one big mess. I'm really worried. Now, the positive is hopefully you bring in the money for Edouard, you bring in the money for Ayer, and then we start investing. But how long can we put off doing that now? Because the process has to start, it has to commence. We need to be talking about players coming in, not going out. Because this rebuild is very slowly and surely becoming more of a problem every day. Every passing moment it becomes more of an issue than an optimistic sort of feeling or thing, you know, or something to be excited about. Slowly and surely is disintegrating from that into the biggest problem that we'll ever see. Really frustrating, really annoying, and I must admit I'm really worried. In general, because the video is about Odsonne Edouard and the fact that it looks as though he is going now, I'm very disappointed to be seeing Edouard go. Of course I am, because he's one of the best players I've really got to see at Celtic in my lifetime. Technically, he's been up there with the best, and he's been scoring 20 plus goals every season. You know, he's been a real joy to watch, really. He's kind of another level. He reminds me of Moussa Dembele, for example, where I feel like he always was that level above Celtic. We were always kind of lucky to have him, and I feel like he's now going to go and show that in England, and I'm happy for him in that front. And Brendan Rodgers knows exactly the kind of player he's getting. Brendan Rodgers will be buzzing. This is exactly what he wants and exactly what he needs, and he'll help take Leicester another step, and maybe they'll get Champions League football. It's a shame to see Rodgers coming back to take everything from us that we love, but He's played a blinder, hasn't he? Frustrating, but that's just the way of the world. Edouard will be so hard to replace, so tough to replace. Where does Celtic go now? I'm going to do a video on that throughout the week, and perhaps like 3-4 targets Celtic should aim to look at and replacing ODSONNE EDOUARD. But for now, as I sit here in this chair, I'm really worried. Because, yeah, we talk about Kevin Nisbet, we talk about some other names that get thrown about in there, but we don't seem to be in a real position to be going and getting these guys and signing these guys and making these strides. And that's annoying. We get the money through the door, we need to act fast. We need to make moves. We have to be scouting the right guys. We need somebody who has ODSONNE EDOUARD quality. If we want to go and challenge for that title next year, with the position we're already in, we need top quality players. That's the problem. At the same time, do you just kind of disregard that and go for maybe someone a bit younger who can develop? I don't know, but we need quality, because we're losing so much of it. And it's all very well and good signing young players that are going to be good for the future and going to develop a lot, but at the same time, you need that first team quality there if you want to be challenging Rangers, if you want to be challenging in Europe, you want to do all these different things. We need quality in the team. So it's got to be interesting to see where we go. And that does it. Thanks very much. Like and subscribe. We'll be back all week. The Euros are almost here. I've got the Scotland shirt on. So much to talk about, so much to do. I can't wait. Like and subscribe, as I said, and I'll see you all next time.